Welcome to the Art of Tuning In podcast with Maria Furlano, sharing insights, tools, and conversations to inspire your energetic well-being. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is Maria Furlano. Thank you for joining me today in episode number 70 on the Art of Tuning In podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time. I have a subject today that I want to share with you. It's a question that I got asked a couple of years ago. We were talking about gratitude. We were talking about energetic alignment. We were talking about shifting our vibrational state. And he said, and I have to say, he was not being disrespectful in any way, but he said to me, is it just too ridiculous to work? Is all this energy alignment, thinking positive, being grateful, all that, is it really just a bunch of nonsense, right? Is what he was saying. And I know that right now it's a brand new year. And I know that a lot of people right now are not in a real celebratory mood for a brand new year. I know that there's a lot of fears that might be surfacing, finances, health, and unexpected events that just kind of keep coming at us. And here's the thing that I know for sure. I know that when we don't have tools that really allow us to tune in to a deeper part of ourselves and be able to align our energy, it really can feel like we're a punching bag. With everything that's coming at us, it just feels like those hits just keep coming at us, and we just have to keep taking them. But we don't have to keep taking them, and that's why I'm so excited to share today and to do what I do. And so I thank you for listening, and we're going to move into this, and I'm going to be able to share with you some insights that'll maybe understand why you're having a hard time shifting your energy when you really do want to feel better and you really feel like you can't get there. So thank you so much for being here. If you're new to my podcast, welcome. Again, I'm Maria Furlano. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for taking the time. I'm a physician of Chinese medicine, a doctor of medical qigong, and a spiritual intuitive. And I work as a teacher and a one-to-one healing coach. I have an online membership called the Art of Tuning In Studio. And I'm all about helping people create a deeper connection with their body, their mind, to create emotional balance and open their intuitive gifts, and teaching step by step and the tools of how to do it. And I'd love for you to join us if this is something that you'd love to do. But first, the first thing that I'd like to share with you is that if you need a tool to calm your mind in 4 minutes, literally 4 minutes, go to theartoftuningin.com. You can sign up to receive free access. It's a video, a guided video, and it'll just help you be able to tune in and redirect your energy in a way that you're able to ground and calm yourself. And again, theartoftuningin.com, you'll see it there. Free gift to you, and I love to know how it works for you. So feel free to reach out. I'm a real person, and I love answering questions, and I love connecting with people. So back to our topic. Is it really ridiculous? Is all this stuff just too ridiculous to actually work? Have you ever felt this way? And maybe you do right now, especially if you're struggling with wanting to feel better or wanting to shift and really not understand. So since you're part of my community, I know that you appreciate energy medicine. I know that you're into spiritual expansion, right? That's your groove. But I also know that sometimes if we can't see it, if we can't feel it, if we can't touch it, if we can't taste it, it can feel ridiculous to even try it, especially if it's not coming easy for us. We're living here in a 3D world that is all about taste, touch, smell, real issues to figure out, real problems that we're dealing with. And when we want to move into a different state, when we want to feel differently, when we want to shift our vibration, shift our frequency, right? All of these terms that we use that cause our energy to align in a different way than we currently are. That can be very ambiguous to people. It can be very out there. It can be very non-tangible for people, especially if it's new for you, or especially if, like I said, you're really struggling with how you feel and you don't see any other way to go. In the last episode, episode 69, I talked about what is it like to really be present, and what do we need to do to be present in our life? What is this presence thing, being more present? So if you haven't listened to episode 69, it would be good to listen to that episode, because it also talks about trust and it talks about a letting go. Because when we want to shift our alignment, it is all about trusting that we can be in another way of being. I'd like to share with you something today that you can begin tomorrow morning if you like, if you want to, if it resonates with you. And I want to share with you why I started to do it and what a difference that it made. And I first began doing this after going through a really long time of stress. I mean, chronic stress. There was so much happening in my life. It was years. I was a primary health care giver for my mother who had cancer for 3.5 years. It was, as you know, if you've ever had to do this, it is a grueling process. And even though I would not take it back, I'm so grateful that I was able to be there. I'm an only child and I didn't have any sibling help or family here. Hospice was amazing and our neighbors were amazing, but it still rests on you. And so one aspect of that stress was ongoing for a long time. When you have that kind of stress, it affects everything else in your life. It affects your finances. It affects your energy levels. It affects your relationships. It reflects your loving relationships. It reflects your acquaintances. It just affects everything in your life. And you may be going through something similar to that, or you may have gone through something similar to that. And then when you deal, of course, with loss of any kind, now you're dealing with a brand new trauma, a new energy, and these energies are just depleting. But what I found was that in the morning, when I would open my eyes, I would immediately begin to think of things that were sad, that I was angry about, that I was resentful about, that I was fearful about. All things that were just not in the alignment of energy that I wanted to be in. And it took a long time for me to really catch this, actually. And I would wake up and then, I start moving into my day with those energies, with that frequency, as we say. So as soon as I'm getting out of bed, I'm already setting my intention for the day, which is either fear, anger, resentment, sadness, grief, right? Whatever it is. And like I said, it took me a while to actually catch what I was doing. And when I did, it took me a while to wake up in the morning and then see these thoughts automatically come in and then be curious enough to say, why is this happening as soon as I wake up? That's the first part that I want to bring up about shifting a vibration. When you want to shift a frequency or you want to shift your vibration, the first thing is that you want to have the willingness to look at what you're doing in your life, to look at how you're feeling in your life, to look at what is your actual frequency. And again, when we talk about frequencies, we're talking about what is your energy. And energy is emotion. Emotion is a moving flow of energy. If your emotion is beautiful and bright and happy, you're going to feel very elevated. If your emotions are that of feeling overwhelmed, that of feeling stressed, that of feeling anxiety, fearful, sad, all of those things, those are frequencies that you're moving through your day with. That is how your energy is flowing, and that's all that means. And then number 2, it actually takes a desire to feel better. So you can become willing. I became willing to observe, why do I wake up and feel this way? Why am I starting my day like this every day? What is happening? And after looking at that, I had to be willing and have a desire to actually shift that state. And it's not easy. When you're used to being in a certain frequency, when you're used to feeling a certain way, when you're used to being in a certain mood, that is your personality. That's who you are. And when you want to shift your state, when you want to shift your frequency, when you want to feel better, you're actually changing your personality. And it's good to know that because it can be very resistant. You can be very resistant to this change. So the second part about that it takes a desire to feel better brings you into the third step where it's a daily practice to change it. So what I did after I was willing to look at how I was beginning my day every day that really wasn't very nice, and also how that frequency was spilling out into every other person who was close to me in my life, because I wasn't feeling very well and I wasn't very happy. So of course, I am sharing that with others, and of course not feeling well myself because of that. Then I had a desire. I want to feel better, but how do I feel better? And so what I began to do was a gratitude practice. Now, this is very common. Why I'm bringing this up, why it was asked to me, are all these practices just ridiculous? Is shifting the energy just a ridiculous thing? Can we really feel better? Because that was really the core of the question. And I began to catch myself as soon as I would wake up in the morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I forced myself to stay right where I was, to stay in bed, to stay in the position that I was, and to begin to focus on one thing that I was grateful for. My bed, my sheets, that I was alive, home, that I had a roof over my head, that I was safe, someone in my life that I loved, anything that I could find. I would allow that thought to come in, and I would feel it in my body. And it usually wouldn't last very long in the beginning. It would be very quick because I was used to feeling the fears, the anxiety, the overwhelm as soon as I woke up. And now I'm asking my body, I'm asking my mind to shift its focus, to change its energy alignment. And because, of course, I'm commanding this, right? I'm deciding to do this. I'm being willing to do this. I'm able to focus for maybe a few seconds, and then the other thoughts that I'm used to thinking, the more negative thoughts or the vibration that I don't want to be in, come back in. And I have to catch myself. And at first I got really mad, like, why is this happening? You get really impatient with yourself. But then, of course, you remember, right, I'm shifting. This is a new practice. This is a new way of thinking, a new way of being. Let me be patient with myself. This is just a habit. And I would say these things to myself. This has just been an old habit of mine, and I am now shifting that habit. So I would start to talk to myself and say, thank you. We're going to take some time now to shift our habit. We're going to be being more grateful. We're going to be thinking about more things that bring more balance, more even energy. Because you might not be able to shift, especially if you're going through grief. You may not be able to shift. And if you're going through grief, the morning and the nighttime can be absolutely horrible. So no one is saying shift from a state of grief into, a state where you're dancing all around your room. That's not what we're saying. We're saying it takes small, little steps. But there's a willingness to feel better. Because at some point, you can't live in that state of grief. You can't live in a trauma state. You can't live in that state of anger and frustration and resentment. It's just not a way to live. So you gently talk to yourself, and this is what I did. And every day I would focus and do the same thing. And some days it went beautifully and smoothly, and I was really surprised. And I was able to think about more things. And then as I decided to slowly get up out of bed, I would continue to think about more things. And I'd go in the bathroom, I'd brush my teeth, and I would be thinking about nice things. And then I would, leave the bedroom and go into the kitchen. And sometimes I could carry that in. And then sometimes something would hit me and I would feel myself shift. I would feel like my vibration shift back. It was like a rubber band. And this is part of the stage that I want to share with you. A lot of people will get mad at themselves when they can't hold themselves in a certain new place. They get frustrated with themselves, and they, instead of moving into that exploratory place, that willingness, that desire to feel better or to change their state, they go into a place of self-criticism, and they start to feel bad that they couldn't do whatever they're trying to do. But this is the thing, that was the most important teaching of the entire practice. And what it is that when you can feel yourself shift out of alignment and shift into alignment, you know for yourself 100% when you are in alignment and when you are out of alignment. And when you know when you're in or out of alignment, then you know how to bring yourself back into alignment. And it's just that simple. And then it becomes about asking those questions again. If I'm out of alignment, am I willing to move myself into alignment? And do I want to move myself into alignment, right? That's the desire part. If both of those are true, then the practice comes into place. And that's the third thing, the daily practice. You move into alignment with the tools that you learn how to move into your alignment. For this specific topic that we're talking about today, we're talking about moving into alignment by thinking with your mind and feeling in your body things that you are actually grateful for, which will raise your energetic vibration. If you learn with me inside the studio, you know that we have breathing techniques and we have qigong techniques that move you into that state, but you can't do those breathing and qigong techniques in a place of anger and resentment or fear, right? It's still about emotion. So even if you use those beautiful tools to help shift your body, you still need to use the mind. You still need to use your emotional state. You still need to be willing to bring yourself into emotionally a new vibration. But I think people need to understand that it takes time and that it's not ever going to be perfect, and that's the whole point of it, is that energy and frequency is a constant adjustment of flow. And when we get used to having fun with adjusting how we feel and being curious about how we feel, then we really create lasting shifts. So when I said before that it was really the most important part is when I would, walk out of my bedroom and into the kitchen, and then maybe I would feel emotions come back that I didn't really want to feel, and I could literally feel myself get angry or be worried or resentful and snap out of this alignment. It literally felt to me like a rubber band. It was so powerful to me how I felt, oh my gosh, I just felt so good a moment ago. I felt so fluid. I felt so expanded. I felt so aligned. I felt very hopeful, and I felt very wise. I could feel myself expanding into the universe and expanding into the earth. I could feel myself having access to greater wisdom than my own issues in my life. There was a greater wisdom that was there to guide me. And then all of a sudden, it was like my energy kind of shrink wrapped, and it came in, and I felt very small and very disconnected. And it was really eye-opening. And that's what I would love for you. I would love for you to be able to put yourself into a state of gratitude using these tools, and then be able to feel so definitively when you move out of that state, when you move out of an aligned state. Now, we use gratitude because gratitude is a very high vibrational state. And when we move into a high vibrational state, we naturally align our energy in a more expansive way. When we are not in a state of gratitude, when we are feeling sorry for ourselves, when we are feeling the lower frequency emotions such as resentment, anger, fear, shame, deep sadness and grief, those things that contract our energy. So there's no judgment with emotions, and I really want to make that clear because we need to feel how we're feeling. And moving through emotions is very important for healing. But there comes a time when we want to move through the experiences that we maybe have been experiencing for a very long time and have just kind of been spinning in them and we can't get out of them. And there comes a time when it's time to shift our vibration. Being able to do that also elevates your immune system. It elevates your intuition because it allows you to be connected in a way, in a higher frequency, where you're able to sense from a more expanded point of view. Not again that 3D, you have to touch it, taste it, smell it for it to be real, but this expanded view that has a much broader view of anything that we could possibly imagine. So again, nothing wrong with emotions. Emotions are awesome and they are just a flow of energy, but it's when we want to shift into a different state that's more serving us, that is more abundantly healthy for us, for our relationships, for our life, for our manifesting, for our receiving, for our joy. That's when we really want to take control over how we align our energy or don't align our energy. So again, number one, there has to be a willingness. There has to be a willingness to shift your state. Number two, after that willingness, you're open to it, there has to be an actual desire to shift your state. You have to be willing, and then the desire is actually, I'm ready to put forth the action to create the shift. And then number three, of course, it's the practice. It's using the tools that you learn. And then I just want to say in closing that this gratitude practice, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before. I don't think that this is new at all, but you do the same thing before you go to sleep. People have said this forever, to put yourself in a very high frequency state before you go to sleep. It will transition not only the way that you sleep, but the way that you awaken in the morning, because you're moving yourself into a different frequency before you rest. And when you rest, your energy relaxes, it expands, and it resets for the next day. But if we go to bed angry, if we go to bed thinking about the same things, if we go to bed very worried, fearful, those frequencies are still within our body, and our reset still happens, but it's not quite as powerful as it could be if we take some time before we go to bed to allow ourselves to move into that state of gratitude. Or again, if you're a student of mine, if you do qigong, or if you meditate, if you stretch, if you open your body and you're releasing from the day and you realign your energy into a more neutral energy, into a higher vibration of energy, and then allow yourself to fall asleep. If you're having trouble awakening during the night, maybe you're worried about things, you want to do that again. You want to reset your energy, get yourself into a state of gratitude, and again, try to go to sleep. And you'll notice really big change, not only in how you feel, but just in your energy level, in your vitality, and the amount of energy that you have to use every single day. So I wish you beautiful alignment this week and always. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more and elevate your energetic well-being, I invite you to visit theartoftuningin.com, where you can learn all about our online studio. I look forward to meeting you there.